talk about the herxheimer effect, about how you would get a little...
Yes, I would herx from that as well as from the treatment, other treatments.
Were any of these appointments covered by your insurance? Any of these treatments?
Well, the doctor was. He was the only MD that, even still, I know of, that takes insurance. And he was a general practitioner running a clinic. And that's why he was able to take my Medicare. I don't know that he took other insurances. I think he did.
This doctor helped a lot of people, hasn't he?
He certainly has, and very unfortunately, he is no longer in practice.
Why is that? Do you know?
Oh, yes, I know. The director of the Department of Health, before she had that job, she was at Barrows University, and she had organized a witch hunt against this doctor because he was not following the protocol that is acceptable to some of the medical community.
The CDC protocol?
The CDC, and so she wanted to shut him down, and she did. She succeeded in doing that. He had to get a lawyer, and he had to shut his office, and he had, finally, the ruling was that the only thing she could get him for was that his notes were not acceptable. I don't know any doctor's notes that are acceptable.
Exactly.
But anyway, she investigated him twice more when she became director. That was the witch hunt. When she became director, she investigated him twice more, and consequently, because of legal fees and difficulties, I just was told recently that he had to sell his house. And he was a savior to all of us that were fortunate enough to get to him.
Exactly. Jane, what do you think, as far as your treatments, helped you the most?
Wow.
Do you think there was anything in particular that you really said, this really helped me more than other things?
Well, at the time, it was the alternative program. And the alternative program incorporated a lot of medical, Eastern medical philosophy. And I subscribed to that right away. I didn't resist that. A lot of people who I sent to that person consequently didn't stay with it because they couldn't draw pictures of it and describe it, because it was healing yourself, basically, the basis of it, and with the guidance of the practitioner.
Were there supplements and vitamins involved? No.
No, but I stayed on the supplements. Well, when you're in that treatment, you stay on whatever you're on already so that you can notice the difference if the symptoms abate.
Thank you. Jane, what would you say was your worst symptom or manifestation from Lyme and any of the associated diseases? What do you think was your worst symptom or manifestation?
Well, most challenging for me is the lack of focus and brain fog, and because I have Morgellens, I have short-term memory problem. So I find that very challenging. I get very upset with myself.
Right. So you mentioned Morgellens, I know, which is part of the International Lyme and Associated Disease Society conference. They joined after a number of years. Could you tell us a little bit about how they're connected?
Morgellens is similar to Lyme. It's a Borrelia. And I've read and heard that it's only people who have Borrelia burgdorferi who get Morgellens. I wouldn't want to be quoted on that because I haven't verified it.
How did you get that diagnosis?
Well, interestingly enough, I had these spikes growing out of my head. I can liken them to brush bristles. And I went to my general practitioner, and she was somewhat aghast. And she said, "Did you ever have stitches in your head?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Are you sure?" She said, "I've never seen anything like this." And that's the only thing that she could think of, that it could be stitches from years ago working their way out. And so she was able to, she zapped them with nitro, and they went away. And then shortly thereafter, some others started growing. So I was talking to a colleague, friend of mine, and I told her about this odd thing happening in my head. And her response was, "Jane, that's Morgellens." I had never heard of Morgellens. I had no idea what it was. But this friend is pretty knowledgeable.
You can say who the friend is.
Oh, okay. The friend is Darlene O'Connor. And so she said, "Go to the doctor right away." And I did within a day or so. And he biopsied. He took them out surgically and biopsied and told me that it was Morgellens indeed. But I had the symptoms. The symptoms before I had the spikes. I had the bugs crawling underneath my skin, and I had mentioned that to family and friends. I had said, I was itching all the time because I felt like actual bugs were underneath my skin. And then another symptom, which I still have more than the others, is a feeling that you're being stung. Just a kind of a sharp, quick sting. And that, I still have some lesions, and I also do have the fibers, subdermal fibers.
So luckily, because that practitioner was knowledgeable about it, you were treated.
Yes, yeah. Well, it goes right along with the with Borrelia burgdorferi, and there are, as we all know, several Borrelias coming out of ticks.
So your condition now, is it considered chronic Lyme?
Oh, absolutely.